Hello, all you internet people. It's me. It's been quite some time since I've come out with any kind of video, but I was drawing this as a commission, and I thought, this would be a perfect image for recording. So I opened up my recording studio and I went to it. So now you have a video. Yay! I skipped the sketch phase. Um, usually you get to see that, but in my old videos, you would most likely see multiple different pictures in one. This is more multiple poses of one character in one picture. But lately, I have been doing more of these sketch pages where I will have 3 pictures or so of one character at my low 72 DPI resolution. So it's no great task, but I think they still come out looking very nice. Of course, you can be the one to judge. I had a sale for humans or human-like, which is how this person requested or commissioned a picture of their lovely elf. Uh, she is based off of the Dalish elves from Dragon Age, which, as soon as I heard that, I said yes, absolutely, because Dragon Age is one of my favorite RPGs. As well, it should be. With all the character customization and the replayability. Although I have a few unpopular opinions when it comes to Dragon Age 2 and Inquisition. I actually quite like Dragon Age 2, mostly because it is a more, I feel the storyline is a little more intimate for your character. You're uh, basically trying to survive. You are, you know, going through these different trials and tribulations and ensuring that your family survives the whole ordeal, or trying. I mean, most of the time we end up with most of our family dead, don't we? Especially if we try to be nice to them. The nicer we try to be, the more everybody dies. Anyway, I enjoyed that quite a bit, uh, Dragon Age 2. But Dragon Age Inquisition, I do not. Not so much. I mean, the characters seem more flat, a little more boring, and the open world is just too much. Just too much. Like, I did not have that expectation for a Dragon Age game. I expected, a better interconnected world, but with the open world style and almost MMORPG like gameplay, Inquisition has left me with a lot of stuff that really I don't care about. In Dragon Age Origins, you could take all the side quests and they would have a little bit of interconnectivity with the game itself. And, you know, most of the ones from Dragon Age 2 would also have a bit of interest to the actual story. But with Inquisition, you have so many quests that they're just nothing. They're nothing. They have no bearing on the story. They're just not necessary. But those are my unpopular opinions when it comes to that. Also, I believe that the characters in Inquisition are far more flat and uninteresting than the other ones. So, I don't know, especially Origins. Origins, very good, very good. But enough about that. Where have I been? You haven't seen me for a while, right? Well, I watch YouTube, but I just don't bother to make videos that often. Mostly I watch videos of people playing or talking about the different games that I might be interested in, or videos of artists like Draw with Jazza is one of my favorite channels, and I like to watch a lot of Snipe and Wib. I like watching them their Let's Play videos, the Let's Play videos. Oh, I was looking around for a new Metroidvania, and I watched a number of videos about Metroidvanias, and none of them seem to include my favorite, uh, you know, computer Metroidvania that I own, and that is Valdis Story, the Abyssal City. And I'm kind of disappointed. I'm kind of thinking that I almost should make my own video about Valdis Story, because it almost seems like nobody knows what it is. Tell me what you think. Do you think that I should make a video about Valdis Story? Because I think it is tragically overlooked. And I don't know if it's because it doesn't have much popularity, or if people just simply don't think it's as interesting as it really is. I mean, it's got great replayability, and I have heard people talk about Dust and Elysium Tale long before anybody has spoken about Valdis Story. And, Dust was okay, but it did not have the replayability, and it did not have the difficulty settings or the fluid combat that Valdis Story had. And Valdis had a lot more of those areas that were locked until you got certain abilities, which are one of those trademarks of Metroidvanias. Anyway, I may as well just make a video about it. Uh, Although, if this is an art channel, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I should, I don't know. Let's see. Also, lately I have had to get a job. I know, like a regular job, which is unfortunate because I'm not that great at regular jobs. I'm much better at doing art as a job, but it just hasn't been very profitable lately. I think perhaps I do not advertise very well. That could certainly be it, don't you think? But I've been practicing my human figures, which is the purpose of the sale for the figure that you're watching. And I think that I am getting better at the faces. I know I have to work on my lips, though. Ooh, those lips, it is like permanent duck face. And we don't want permanent duck face, do we? I know I wouldn't. I would probably have to shoot my lips off. Anyway, so now I'm working at Little Caesars. Little Caesars, yes, I'm making dough, which for somebody with a good manual dexterity, making dough is no problem. When before I started working at Little Caesars, I actually thought that they used frozen pizzas. And in fact, most of the people who work there admit that before they worked there, they thought that the same thing, that it was frozen pizzas. But as it turns out, every Little Caesars makes their own dough, just like most pizzerias, except they make a lot more of it in larger batches, since it is fast food pizza. That's the main thing to remember. It is fast food pizza, which that just means that they need to do a lot of prep work to ensure that everything is prepared so that pizzas can be done much quicker. Because at regular pizzeria, there will be a lot of hand tossing, but at Little Caesars there are more automatic methods, like we will use a pressing machine rather than spinning the pizza dough out flat in the air. So we will just have it already in a pan and squish it flat and then push it out to the edges. and use like a machine to sauce it. But then the cheesing and the meats, that all comes down to hand. And, all the timing done by a conveyor belt oven. It just, it's, it's interesting. Although I am starting to get a little bit tired of pizza. You know, Little Caesar's pizza, especially. Because there are days where after working some 10.5 hours making enough dough for the weekend, I will decide that I do not feel like cooking dinner and I would rather just go home with a deep dish pizza, which is much easier than cooking myself after working, especially since I am one of those people who I do not like breaks. I don't really take breaks. So I just end up working straight through from beginning to end, without thinking about it. So of course I will just be standing and moving and bending and working all day. And then 10.5 hours of that, I come home and I do not want to stand around anymore. And I am too tired to draw, and I am just ready for bed. So, my art lately has been suffering somewhat as my body gets used to this physical activity thing that it is not used to anymore. Physical activity, what is this? I don't understand. You wouldn't. Because I, usually just sat around and drew, and I used to stream a long time ago. I did not do that for a while. Perhaps that would have helped. Yes, but no going back now. The job is at least making some consistent money. That's it. But of course, living in America, the money is never quite what it should be for the living expenses. You know, they think, oh, fast food. The only people that would work fast food are people who, it is a job that it's like their first job. Young people. We do have some young people working there, but they make the starting rate of 8.50, and I am making $9 an hour. Not much of a difference, is it? No, not really. But that's okay. It doesn't bother me because it is still something to do, really. Let's see, but I have talked way too much about that. I may talk about the picture again. So I know that I am not as good at these faces as I'd like to be, so I have to get some practice in. And that is what this is all about. On DeviantArt, when I do art there, I will sometimes try to apply for some of the jobs there, but a lot of them expect you to have experience drawing humans, human faces, anime, that sort of thing. I can do anime style, but I am not as good at it as other artists, as you can see. I have to work on that. But Anthro, I have plenty of experience with that. You are likely coming here from one of my Anthro accounts. Well, actually, all of my accounts include all the same kind of art. So, I mean, if you're coming here from a post I made on DeviantArt or on Fur Affinity, you'll still be in the same place. Just listening to me ramble. Ramble on. Blah, 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 blah. But recently I started a Patreon. So I will be putting a link down for Patreon. for just a little bit of money, you'll be able to see different versions of my pictures, mostly versions that have nude figures, you know, characters without their clothing. Oh no! And if I get enough money on the Patreon, then I do not have to worry about regular job, and I can start posting on my comic, which I don't know how many of you know about the comic that I'm working on, so I will tell you. It is called The Losing Streak. It is a super villain comic, so it has more heavy focus on the villain characters. But the first issue, or rather the first volume, I guess, because it spans multiple issues. But the first volume is about the main villain. Well, the villain that we follow mostly. He's sort of like an underling, but eh, we also get to meet the head honcho and a lot of other characters that I enjoyed creating, and we get to meet the elementals, which are a group of four. You know, the usual shtick of a superhero group that is based off of the elements. So we have the elementals, which are named Stone, Storm, Flame, and Frost. And we have the main character who is Subject 22, also known as Backbiter. Basically, when he takes damage, he does one of those hulking out sort of things. He becomes big and angry and much harder to kill, that sort of thing. And he's stuck in this sort of prison and research facility when we start the issue. And we get to see a lot of drama between him and the elementals, because he has a couple feelings for some of them, but you, but I would have to, finish up pages of that and start posting it for you guys to see it, and for you to see it, really, I would need more time, and to have more time, I would need money, and money through Patreon, blah blah blah. You see where I'm going, right? I hope. Anyway, I have certainly uh, talked a little more about that than I intended to. Well, anyway, we're coming close to the end of this, so I will tell you now. I am doing a special sort of set of your character here's for the Halloween season, or October, really. I'm going through the October with this. I last year did 31 your character here's to celebrate October, and they were all horror and gore themed. Unfortunately, as I have a job, I cannot do 31, but I have decided on doing 13, which is, I guess, more appropriate of a number for Halloween anyway. So, if you are interested, check out any of my artist pages, and you will be able to see the different your character here's that are running at the time. Currently, I have a few, um, let's see, one rather naughty one, and one not so naughty one. But like I said, they will all be horror themed or gore themed, that sort of thing. It's not going to be the child's play Halloween that some people are really into. It's going to be definitely gory. So check those out if you are interested. I will leave a link to those. I will leave a link to my Patreon, and if you want to see more videos of me drawing, or perhaps a video of me playing Volda's story, we will see. Why don't you go ahead and like, and subscribe, and we'll potentially see you next time. Have a very good evening.